What's up, folks? Y'all, it's day 60 of the Steady Challenge. Steady is an acronym for Same Trail Every Day for a year. It's Backyard Ron. In my backyard, we have a pleasantly humid 78-degree day. Storm clouds overhead, looming thunder, cumulonimbus clouds up into the stratosphere. I just walked through a spider web as per normal. So, what is going on today? Welcome back, my fine folks. I am excited to report that yesterday I nearly hit 2,000 feet of elevation gain on the trail. 33 hill repeats on this hill right here, all the way down to the bottom and up here to the top. I felt pretty good. The hamstring was a little tight yesterday, but I managed, and the Achilles started to act up a little bit as well. Today, happy to report, no soreness, which is really odd because that's more than double the elevation that I've done, and I'm not even sore today. So, as I had predicted, or observed rather, my strength is really good right now. I have a race 1 week from today. Well, 1 week, 1 day. Basically a week. 24-hour race. So, it's on a trail. Be lots of elevation. Roughly 400 feet of elevation per every 3 or 4 miles. So I figure I just walked through the second spider web. And all sticky. Anyways, 400 feet of elevation every loop. So I figure yesterday, that's good for 5 loops, about 15 miles. So, this is Ronmath. I'll tell you how Ronmath works. So, if we have 400 feet of elevation, and I did 2,000 feet yesterday, that means I can do 5 of those laps or more before my legs feel the same as they did yesterday. Now, the good news is I did that workout in an hour and 30 minutes yesterday, hour 35, including the jog over and back. So, on race day, that will really, if I travel at 5 miles per hour, that would really be 3 hours of work. So I have the same amount of elevation, but twice as long to complete it. So that tells me not only will I have 5 laps or 15 to 20 miles, but that will just be the start. So it's going to be tough. You know, that elevation is going to add up over 24 hours. But as I said, I think I'm ready, at least for the beginning of the race. So, how a 24-hour goes, the first hour is easy. The second hour, easy still. The third hour, less easy. Fourth hour, kinda, maybe not easy anymore. Fifth hour, yeah, this is not easy. 6th hour, okay, I'm a fourth of the way there. I got a long way to go. 7th hour, not easy anymore. 8th hour, I gotta keep doing this. 9th hour, okay, this is starting to get a little bit hard. 10th hour, I'm not even halfway. 11th hour, and so on. You get to the 12th hour, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm only halfway. 13th hour. This is where a little thing called the sunk cost fallacy enters. Sunk cost, because you've already done half of the race and it's too late to stop. It's kind of a good place to be. It's sort of the place where you want to get, especially early on in the race. You know, at that 6 hour mark, where you're like, I'm gonna have to be out here for a while, but you're not far enough in where you like can't just call it a day and go home. That's the funny part about timed races, is you can leave whenever you want. Nobody's making you stay out there, nobody's forcing you to run, and you have all the time in the world to consider your options. And it's actually earlier on, it's easier to quit because you haven't sunk that much time or effort into it yet, where you could just say, I'll save myself for another day. But once you start to get to 13 or 14 hours, it's kind of like, okay, I've already done all this work, I might as well keep going. And then hour 15, 16 comes, and you're like, I am tired, I am ready to quit, I just want to go to sleep. I just want to go to sleep over there. Look at those leaves. Look at that. Doesn't that look like just a beautiful place to lay down? I mean, if you look at this trail, it's mostly pine leaves and stuff. Yeah, there's some gravel and whatnot, but this is a soft surface. That's why I like to run this trail. It's much more forgiving than the concrete that I typically have been running on. But since I started this challenge 60 days ago, I've found that I actually have been running mostly on this trail, and my pavement miles have reduced drastically. Of course, my mileage has reduced drastically too. You can just go so much farther on the pavement when you can run, 7 minutes a mile versus, where are we? 7 minutes a mile. This camera always gets foggy. 13 minutes a mile. That's including walking for a quarter mile and walking up the hills and stuff. So, you literally can go twice as far on the road. So, you get a lot more mileage in. But I would consider it almost the same amount of work, if not more, considering the amount of elevation that I'm doing. This is about 60 feet, each one of these climbs. 70 if I include the interloopal. I can kind of run across the pavement area. That's good for maybe 5 or 10 feet. Yes, I am feeling good today. The hamstring is cooperating. Thankfully, I've been worried about that hamstring, but it actually was the Achilles that was acting up on the jog over. All right, that's 2. Let's do, well, almost 2, 1.5. If I go back, it'll be 2. So I am feeling really good today because yesterday was a solid workout, lots of hills, lots of elevation, and my body actually feels better today than it has in a while. That is a good sign. The last race, so I'm going into this race undertrained. The last race, I actually think I was overtrained and I wasn't doing a whole lot, but I had just peaked about a month earlier, and then the little nagging issues started to pop up in those last 3 weeks before the race, and I think that really affected me. So I was actually on a downtrend before that race even started. It didn't feel like it. It felt like I was in great shape, and I think I was, but just the amount of issues I had in my foot. I wore carbon plated shoes and they jacked my toes all up. It just felt like somebody was smashing them with a hammer. And then, as noted, the Achilles was just blown up, my entire right side. I was basically just limping along by 25 miles, which sucked. I made it to about 30 miles, 31, before I stopped, and I walked those last 5 or 6 miles. So that sucked. But I feel like doing these hills has made me stronger, because that was the one thing I was going to do the last 3 weeks before the race. I was going to incorporate hill training, but I didn't get to do that because of all the Achilles issue I was trying to solve. Of course, this was back in March. So I ran the race into March, beginning of April, and then I did rehab for about a month and a half. And it seemed to get better at first, but then it was only because I wasn't running a lot. So you got to kind of watch that when you're trying to problem solve issues, because it can seem like it's gone away, but it's really just sort of under the surface. Oh yeah, let's do another one. Man, I feel absolutely phenomenal today. I'll try to link yesterday's video at the end, just those hill repeats. I did figure out how to do the time lapse, so yay, woo! But what I didn't think of was, you hear that? Yeah, that's all the traffic. When you speed up the video, that sounds insane. It sounds like I don't know, it sounds like an animal getting tortured. I didn't realize that because I was editing the video on mute. Here's yesterday's pine cones. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 35. Each one of these pine cones represented 5 hill repeats. I'm gonna walk these back down, so I'll have them for next time. But yeah, I didn't realize how crazy that would sound. And I was trying to edit the video and be quiet because it was late. So I did not know that it was going to sound that wild. So next time I'll either mute the sound down, or I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it because it's kind of funny and it's not really that long. So, but it sounds crazy. Like, I don't know. I don't even know. It sounds wild. I was kind of, at first I was like, whoa, what the? And then I realized, oh yeah, I had it on mute, so I didn't hear, or like turned down low, really low, so I just couldn't hear it. But yeah, 33 hill repeats. That was tough yesterday. I was hungry. My stomach was growling. It was about 7 o'clock, 7:30 by the time I ended. And that's usually I get home and eat. So it's usually 8 o'clock by the time we cook and eat and all that. So I was didn't have a big lunch yesterday, so I was hungry. And then I forgot my gel. I was like, oh, well, because I felt a little hungry before the run even started. And I was like, oh, well, I'll take this gel. That'll give me some energy. And then I left it sitting on the counter when I got out the door. Good move, good move. So next week I've got different soups and things. They will have an aid station, fully loaded aid station. I actually worked the aid station last year for a little bit, so very familiar with what they have, gels and cooked food. I think they brought in pizza at some point, but I'll also have my own food. My daughter will be crewing me so she can cook up a little something, hopefully. I like to have real food as much as possible. It just sits in my stomach better than some of the gels and things like that. But the gels work if you're out on a loop or on a part where you don't have anything. You can just pop one of those gels. They're lightweight and easy to digest. It's more of a bridge for me to actual food. So, tearing it up today. I think this is the third hill repeat, which is pretty crazy. So I feel good. Feel really good today. It is cooler though, and it's not 90 degrees like it was yesterday. So it's probably in the 70s, which when you're used to 90 feels great. Yes, my little trail, my little slice of heaven in my backyard. Gotta love it. Did have a nap earlier today. I think that maybe helped give me a little more energy on this. All right. I don't think I really have too much more to report. Everything right now feels pretty solid. The Achilles right now, at this very moment, isn't bothering me, although it did at the beginning of my run. And, you know, I call it tendonitis, but I've never 100% gotten a diagnosis on it. That's just what we kind of worked on, was doing strength exercises geared towards tendonitis. But I think it might be a nerve, impacted nerve or something in my heel, because I can do all this work and it doesn't bother me. Like, it's so weird. It just doesn't feel like a strength issue to me. So anyways, everything feels pretty good. My knee feels pretty solid, right knee. And like I said, the hamstring, which had been tight and sore, and it still is, but only when I do like ancillary movements, like stretching a little bit more, or trying to like get in there and massage, I can still feel that soreness, or certain movements. But when I'm running right now, it feels the same as the right side. So that's the goal, is for your both sides to not have any issues. I'm still just surprised that my legs aren't sore after all that elevation yesterday. I have been gradually building up and doing a lot more of these hill repeats than I thought. I mean, it's been 60 days and I've done them every single day. Usually I do 3 like today. So I guess just natural strength has built. the name of the game. I'm at 2 miles. I'm going to do one more rep today. I'll make it 4. Yes, I think it's 4. It's kind of funny because doing all these on the same trail, you just don't, I mean, how can you remember one from the last? They all sort of blend together. That's kind of how a race goes too, 24-hour race. You don't really know if you're on the 6th hour or 10th hour. It doesn't really matter. You just go until it's done, right? You just go until the time runs out. But I do have to keep an eye on it, and I'll have certain markers. So I'll try to break it up into chunks and have a general idea of where I should be at 6, 12, and 18. So if I keep that in mind, I don't really need to worry about my pace or anything like that. I can just look and see, like, how do I feel and where am I at? Like, if I get to 6 hours and I have, 25 miles, then I know that by 12 hours I could hit 50. But problem with that is you naturally get tired during the race. So if you're at 25 miles right at 6 hours, there's not a good chance you're going to be keeping that exact same pace the rest of the race. So if your goal is 100 miles and you're at 25 at 6, you haven't accounted for tired periods, for possible overexertion, for slow laps, for bathroom breaks, or any of that. And not to mention, when it gets dark, it's harder to run on the trail. During the daylight, you can see ahead and you can blast downhill if you want to. You can go faster. Your footing is more secure because you can see every little detail. At night, the leaves get washed out. Your eyes start to water because they've been open for 18 hours. And so things are blurry. It's harder to see. And what does that mean? It means you're going to slow down. So, as I said, that's Ronmath for you. You got to account for the variables. And if you're only at 25 miles at 6 hours, the likelihood of you running 100 is very, very, very low if it's on a trail. Now, if you're on a road, entirely different ball game. Or flat, greenway, pavement, even gravel, totally different ball game. If you're at 25, you absolutely can do it because your steps are more secure, your pace is more even. There's no variables like here where you're having to cross random rocks, hills, roots, all that stuff. All eliminated. So you totally can do it then. And not to mention, on a road, you can pick up the pace gradually. You can go off at a negative split where you're running the first a little bit slower to save your energy for the second half. On a trail, it's incredibly harder to do. Much harder. Because of the variability in the terrain. So remember that. Never a race that's the same. That's why I love this sport. I freaking love it. I love running. So awesome. Getting healthy, heart healthy, muscles healthy, your circulatory system's healthy, oxygen to your brain. You have time to think. You have time to decompress. You have time to challenge yourself on a daily basis. Think about things in your life. Set goals that you want to accomplish. It's one of the most positive things you can do. I'm so glad that I started running again. It took me a while. I didn't start running again until I was nearly 30, since high school. So it's a long period of 7, 8, 9 years where I was basically sedentary. Didn't do much. I did go for occasional runs, but nothing structured. If you can structure your running, even better, but not too important. If you're long term, you want to improve, structuring is extremely important. You want to build with a purpose and a plan. I've written many plans. Some worked out better than others. I had a real good plan for my 50 miler in April, but extenuating circumstances made the plan. I wouldn't say it's a bad plan, but I had to adjust quite a bit more than I wanted to. That was difficult mentally because I was on such a good trajectory up until, like I said, 3 weeks before the race, when I just didn't feel as strong on my workouts. It was harder to maintain the paces that I was even a week or 2 weeks before that, and it all just kind of hit me. And I hadn't increased my training or done anything outside of normal. I think my body just needed an adjustment period. And what's funny is I even took down weeks. So every fourth week I would have an easier week where I cut back my mileage, cut back my volume, and allowed my body that week of recovery to sort of how do I want to put this, to sort of why can't I think of the word? Obtain. It's not obtain, but like seep in that training. There's a word for it. I don't know why I can't think of it right now. But yeah, I wanted that training to have time to settle in and for my body to adapt. And so even with that, it still wasn't enough. And I think just I had started in December, worked to March. So I think that was just where I peaked. I had just peaked and I didn't realize it. And what I needed to do was race. Like in that week, that 3 weeks before the race. If it had been on that day, it would have been perfect. But that's the way it goes. Like, you can't predict everything. You just have to do the best you can. Running is an art, and planning your training is the same way. There's no right or wrong. You do what you think is best, what you hope is best, as smartly and as purposefully as you can. And then, hopefully on race day it comes together. What's the heart rate today? Oh my gosh. 100. 100 uphill. That's crazy. That's nuts. It feels like I'm running like a harder effort right now. It feels like 130. I was really surprised because yesterday was 150. I was running these. The heart rate was 150 by the end up these hills. So, I mean, I guess I am walking a little bit, so it drops. Yeah, because that's 134. Okay, yeah, look at that. I thought it was 130. So, that's kind of funny. Because I was like, it feels like 130. And that's the other part about running every day. You really get to know your body. And that's why I'm able to sort of, I wouldn't say look past some of these little injury things, but I'm able to kind of gauge what's possible and where my body is at. Just like with the hamstring being tight, certain days I know I can go farther, and other days I'm like, I better not. But still, I try to err on the conservative side. All right, this was a hugely long video. Rambling Ron. Maybe I should just change the name. Change my name from Backyard Ron to Rambling Ron. Because all I do is ramble. Just ramble on. But hopefully I enjoy it. Because I'm pretty much the only person that's going to see this. Even though it's out there in the world. YouTube don't care. Nobody cares. I don't even really care. I'm just out here getting pine cones. You know what? Pine cones, I didn't realize this, but they are extremely prickly. Like the tips right here, they're so prickly. I just didn't think they would be that sharp until I picked one up yesterday and it punctured my thumb. I was like, oh my gosh, these things are weapons. I just thought they would be more smooth, I guess, on the outside. They are not. I think that's just the way God intended. Protect them from something. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Oh my goodness, where are we at? 2.9 miles. So, I've got about a mile back home. I might run a little bit more just to hit that 4 mile sweet mark. And wow, what a day. Feels great. No rain. I thought it was going to rain. I heard a bunch of thunder. But no rain today. So, Backyard Ron from my backyard. It's day 60. 2 months, 2 solid months in the bag. This is Backyard Ron saying, get out there, get it done, set goals, get fit, get in shape, get motivated, motivate yourself. Don't let somebody else do it for you. Get out the door, put your shoes on, put your shorts on, feel the sun, feel the trees. Get out in nature. Enjoy your life. Use the gift that you've been given. The gift of movement. This is Backyard Ron. I'm out.